Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our regular business meeting, the Ponderay School District 84. It's August 14th, 2018, 6 o'clock. All members, all trustees are present, as well as our superintendent and our clerk and other members of the staff. I don't see any, well, first of all, if you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Public comment, I don't see anybody that has signed up for public comment. Anybody in the audience like to make comments at this time? Okay, we'll move right on to information items and reports, administration, and I'm first up on the agenda. It's nice to be chairman. This is my first meeting, so I just thought I'd say a few words on the meetings and how they've gone. One of the things I'd like to continue this next year is what we did the past year, is to recognize outstanding students, programs, achievements, noteworthy events at our meeting. It's good for the board to meet some of these people and hear about them, and it's also good for the students and the parents to be able to come in. So it was, we'll certainly try to continue that. Also, I would like to set aside maybe 10 minutes a meeting, 10 to 15 minutes a meeting on topics of general interest to the board when appropriate. Such topics could include funding the schools, sports programs, extracurricular activities, security, technology, electives, so forth and so on. And it would be a good chance for the board to be informed on these things. There'll be information only, no decisions, no motions or anything like that. It's just for our educate the board more than anything. Also, I think since we have possible levy coming up in the next year, several of these information items could be relevant the next year, having to do with the levies that we anticipate. So I also asked other board members to let me know if they have items that they think might be appropriate to go on this. As I say, I think probably the first month or so we'll probably be tied up with items that, as I say, are relevant to the school and the funding and so forth. Also, I'd like to ask, once meetings are started, that anybody would like to speak, please wait to be recognized by the chair. That would be me. If we have speakers presenting information, please let me do the sorting when it comes to questions and so forth. I'll make sure everybody gets their say. I'm not trying to limit or stifle anybody. Any questions about that from the board? Okay, thank you. Next, we'd like to introduce one of our new principals, Tasha Hammer.
Hamer. I'm powering off my phone because I don't want to stand up and my phone ring.
That's fine.
My name's Natasha Hamer, but my mom has called me Tasha since I was born. So it's Natasha on email, but most people call me Tasha. A lot of you recognize me from my role as an instructional coach. And I could talk a long time, but I'm going to keep it kind of brief and just tell you about my background as an educator and then just a little bit about myself and my family. So this is my 11th year in education. I started as a second grade teacher. I taught second grade for 2 years, and then I taught sixth grade at Sagal for 2 years. Pearlie and I worked together. And then I taught fifth grade at Sagal for 3 years, and then the last 3 years I've been an instructional coach for the whole district at all schools, and that's where you guys might recognize me with our Ready Gen pilot, working with different committees like the district writing assessment. I have lots of goals next year as Washington Elementary's principal, but I'm really going to stay focused on a few so I'm effective. I'm beyond excited, but I want to tell you my top 3 goals for next year as a principal of Washington Elementary. So my first and foremost goal is to create a safe and supportive school. Next, I want to build relationships and culture within my building, with my parents, with my teachers, with students, with stakeholders. And last, I'm an instructional leader. That's like it's my wheelhouse. It's what I'm good at. And so I really want to focus on teaching and learning within the building. I have other goals, but I'm just going to keep it to those 3. I'm excited. As an instructional coach, I worked mostly with teachers or with admin, and I'm excited to be back in a building with students and with parents and with teachers and everybody. I've been working a lot this summer, and I'm ready to see the kids come back. I am married. My husband's a contractor in town. We have a little boy that just turned 4. His name's Avi, A-V-I, and he's funky and fun and full of energy, and we can't imagine living anywhere else besides Sandpoint. We love it here. My husband and I rode our bikes to the very top of Schweitzer this morning, and we were like, why would we live somewhere else? Like, we would never be able to drive from our front door, go for a bike ride, and then get to work on time. We love the ski hill. We want to raise our son in a community where he can ski race and be a part of a mountain and a community of mountain. One little fun fact about me is I've had a season pass since I was 4 years old. So, and I'm really excited to work right in the heart of Sandpoint. I always tell people, I can peek down the alley and see the lake from my school. So I'm excited. If you can't tell, I do get nervous. Don't let me fool you. I'm like, what about this? And I'm excited to work with you guys next year and wear a different hat for the Lake Pondere School District.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions from the board?
Just excited and welcome. It's
Thanks.
It's a great fit for you.
Thank you.
So,
Good. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
And good luck. Thanks.
I have all the confidence in the world in you.
Thank you, Curly.
thank you.
As
Really
my hair is gray next year.
Well, no, thank you. Next, we have the 21st Century Community Learning Center. Andrew Murray. Good evening.
Good evening. Well, it is my pleasure to be here just to update you a little bit about our after-school program of grant. And as you know, LPOSD was honored to be the recipient of a 21st Century Community Learning Center grant. That's a mouthful. So you may hear CCLC, as it's abbreviated, to operate after-school learning centers at both Farman and Kootenai Elementaries. This is authorized under the Every Student Succeeds Act and is funded through the U.S. Department of Education. Superintendent Woodward and I wrote this grant last spring. It's a very rigorous process. We conducted a thorough needs assessment and surveyed our families, and we're thrilled to be awarded this grant. Our families indicated a strong interest in academic support after school, but also a desire for enrichment opportunities, hands-on was a theme from our families, and STEM, and we heard over and over again. So certainly those activities, both literacy support, homework help, and STEM activities will be integrated daily in our after-school programs at both sites. In addition, we'll focus on some social emotional connections, some service learning projects, music opportunities, and even physical fitness. And the purpose of these 21st Century Community Learning Centers is really threefold. They have to provide some academic support, they have to provide enrichment, and they need to offer activities that qualify as family engagement. So really that's the outcomes from the Department of Ed. We received a 5-year grant, and our funding will total over $150,000 just in year one. As long as the CCLC programs remain in the federal budget, we will be funded for 5 years. And we could see up to $700,000 in funding over the course of those 5 years. Of course, we have to hit those 3 outcomes. We have to track attendance, provide data, keep students in the program. But those are their objectives. So we believe we know we'll meet those and exceed those. Our year 1 funding, as you can imagine, is mainly dedicated to staffing. Both of these sites will have over 75 students at each school, so over 150 total. And we're required to maintain a staff to student ratio there, so the bulk of the majority of our funding went into staffing. And we had an overwhelmingly positive response to enrollment, so we already have a waiting list at both sites. Our centers will operate from the end of the school day, so 2:40, except on Wednesdays, we will operate at 1:40, right as students are out, until 6 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and thanks to this grant, we'll now provide not only academic support and enrichment to these 150 families, but we also created 9 new job positions. We're still in the planning phases. We've fully hired our staff as of last week. We're working on training and ordering supplies and schedules, but we will be fully operational on the first day of school. And I just wanted to say this is truly one of the most exciting opportunities I've had thus far in my career to think about meeting the needs of 150 families in our community who will have after-school support, enrichment. I think Bobby Coleman, our child nutrition director, who's done a concurrent grant so that we can provide snacks, meals, activities. Our facilities director, Matt Deal, and his team have been busy thinking about where can we house 75 kids at that school site after school for 6 p.m. But to really collaborate on something of this magnitude is such a gift to our district, and I know will benefit kids. The research really tells you those kids who feel connected to an adult at their school have better attendance in the day and typically better achievement. So this is a pretty massive undertaking, and it really gives me chills to think about launching it. I also just wanted to introduce Betsy D'Alessio, who will join me at the podium. Betsy's been hired to oversee half the position next year will be to oversee the grant, funding, budget, paperwork, and to plan the program for both Kootenai and Farman. So she'll tell you just a bit about herself, and then I'd be glad to field questions too. Welcome aboard.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm Betsy D'Alessio, like Kendra said. In an email, I'm Elizabeth, so I'll just say kind of name. But I've always gone by Betsy. I grew up in Sandpoint. I went to school in Lake Monterey from preschool through high school before I moved away. My background is in Title I programs and federal programs. I started teaching in Browning, Montana on the Blackfeet Reservation for a few years before I came home to Sandpoint to teach Title I at Kootenai Elementary. And I'm thrilled to have this role as the Dean of Students at Farman, and then as well as the Program Director for the program. Like Andrew said, we have more than 150 students enrolled, and I am receiving phone calls, emails daily from more people trying to get in. They're finding my contact information everywhere to get in, and so the wait list is growing, which is wonderful. But it's I'm thrilled. I have a passion for federal programs, so this is my wheelhouse, and I'm super excited.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Questions from the
Yeah,
board?
I had one. Would you clarify you said 150,000 and then over 5 years, so that's 150,000 every year.
The first 2 years, it's 150, and then they take
Oh, and then
a
it's-
small cut each
I
year.
got you. Okay.
So we have to either provide some in-kind funding, and they know that some of your
Yeah.
supplies and things, you won't need them
Yeah.
currently. But
That makes
yes,
sense.
so as long as we meet our objectives, of course, as long
Yeah.
as it stays in the federal budget, that's always
Exactly.
it. And then we meet our objectives and keep our students enrolled. Our grant was approved for 5 years.
Okay,
Great.
that was perfect. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any,
it
yes,
is.
sir, Derek?
What are you, the entire elementary age group, are you going first through sixth
K
grade?
through 6.
K through 6.
K through 6.
We have a pretty good ratio among grade levels, keeping in mind that 5th and 6th graders aren't as interested and have other activities going on, so we do have smaller numbers.
So that was my next question. I mean, for a student to enroll, do they have to commit to 5 days a week from 2:40 to 6 o'clock?
We ask that they commit because we do, it's very clear in its objectives that we have to be careful that we aren't childcare. We are childcare with objectives and outcomes. So we ask that our families average 4 days a week. That wouldn't mean there certainly could be some days where they're 3 and some days where they're all 5, but they did a pre-registration and made that commitment. The time will vary by family. They certainly don't have to stay until 6 p.m., but feedback from our families told us that some are not off until 5 or 5:30, and by the time they get to the school site, they needed it open until 6 p.m. But we suspect our numbers will dwindle as the time of day goes on.
Yeah.
So we're kind of balancing our hands-on activities, get up and move, get homework done. We'll do a STEM hands-on activity. We know numbers will dwindle a bit. We'll go outside again. So looking at that day-to-day schedule, we know we'll probably have to adjust as we see
Yeah.
who stays and for how long. Those kinders are going to want a nap
So-
in the first minute that they get there. Yeah.
Andrea, do you have a established curriculum? Are you following a model?
Well, there are many programs that have come before us, so certainly we have to provide a certain number of minutes per day that count in a menu of enrichment activities. We'll follow some STEM curriculum for that piece, and then of course we have to provide literacy, homework help.
Is this going to enhance what they're learning every day in their classroom?
Absolutely.
We hope so, yeah, certainly.
Yeah. It sounds fantastic.
Okay, any other questions that we have?
Congratulations on getting the grant.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Superintendent Woodward, Andra, amazing, because that's really, we're lucky in that sense. So, thank you.
Thank you.
We're excited to update you as we move along. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next, we have Citizens Facilities Advisory Committee report from our superintendent.
All right, this is the only time I'm going to refer to it as CFAC, because we do not do acronyms, but that's a pretty good acronym. So we had our first meeting, and I had sent you all the minutes, so I'll be brief here. One change, as compared to the last time we ran a facility effort, is the fact that these are open meetings. So anyone that's here, you're welcome to attend. You all are welcome to attend as well. We had 4 people from our public attend, and I think we'll have more as our meetings happen. There are 24 committee members, and it's a pretty large committee. It ties the largest committee I've ever facilitated, and so you have to run a pretty tight meeting. So to be clear, I'm just the facilitator. Lisa Howells and Matt Deal and I are not members. We're just consultants, if you will, for the group, and we'll be doing the facilitation. We had 18 people come to the first meeting, which I think will probably average between 18 and 20 out of the 24. The goal, as I've identified before to you all, is just for us to develop a 15-year plan for our facilities, or a recommendation for a plan for you all. First meeting was 90 minutes, and we just covered introductions, summarized the 2016 plant levy efforts, and brainstormed as a committee what could be done differently moving forward for better results. Of course, we want better results this time around. Committee members also had an opportunity to share thoughts, any issues, interests, and concerns that they had, and I think they really appreciated the opportunity to share what was on their mind. The next meeting is in September, and we'll actually have an architect and a value engineer be going over some building assessments that are happening right now. That's probably one of the biggest differences this time around, is the fact that we're utilizing an outside agency to come in to do those assessments for us. Those are currently being conducted. And minutes will be posted this Friday, and I believe there may be a news article here soon as well. And we're also going to leverage social media this time around for minutes, any news reports that are done, et cetera. So yeah, we're excited to get going, and we'll probably average about 1 meeting a month initially. A lot of our efforts will be on our supplemental levy effort that happens every 2 years, but as we get going, we'll probably meet more like twice a month. So we'll do an update at every board meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Reading the minutes, it sounded like they're on the right track. They had some pertinent questions that they asked about site visits and about, going into a little more detail. And I mean, it sounded like they were enthusiastic and interested. So.
For sure.
Any questions from the board?
Well, I first of all like to say I just have a concern with this. First of all, the board has not approved the strategic plan, so we haven't definitively identified facilities as a priority of this district.
Actually,
Second,
I'm really sorry to interrupt, but we did do the strategic plan.
it's been
Yes.
passed by the board.
Yes, we just haven't done the metrics yet.
I don't remember that. I don't think the board specifically authorized, organization of this committee or a model or a schedule for this committee or a budget for this committee. That's a concern of mine. But I acknowledge we need facilities, but my biggest concern is we're going to need to run a levy in the spring. And what are our priorities in our levy? In my mind, we've got another huge priority that we need to address that has a higher priority to me than facilities. In my mind, I think we need to support our staff. Our state and our district, are well below, an acceptable salary level for teachers and school district employees. And, my priority in the levy would be to support our staff, above facilities.
Okay, let me just interrupt, but we're putting the cart before the horse here. We have a long way to go, a study and briefing and everything else before we get into specifics about what the levy may or may not be. My question, Sean, is this committee considering the supplemental levy as well as the facilities?
No, totally separate.
So this is separate. And I agree with you. I think certainly the supplemental levy is going to come first. It's going to take priority. We have a timeline on it. We're working on it. And I think some of the concerns you have and the place where we can make recommendations and look into further are coming up shortly. But I agree with you, that is a priority.
We can go ahead with the process, but, to me, like you say, Mr. Chairman, it's not as high a priority as some of the items that are going to be in our supplemental levy.
Yes.
Can I
Yeah,
add one more thing?
definitely.
That I don't see it as an either-or conversation, that I think that we will be discussing adequately paying our teachers and what should be in that supplemental levy throughout the entire year. I don't see facilities as an either-or, only one can be on the table. And certainly, we all agreed that that was one of those facilities is a priority that needs to be looked at, even if it's staged out quite far into the future. We've all agreed that that is something that needs to be on the plate. So I don't see that one pushes the other off the table. And I would hope none of us think that.
It's up to this board to make a decision. There's
Yeah.
a limit politically to what we can ask, our patrons to support in the form of either a facility or a supplemental
I know,
levy.
but we need to get
There's a
more
limit.
information, we need to get more data, more information.
We don't have,
before.
I don't have that number,
Yeah.
but, there's a limit to what we can ask our patrons to do simultaneously.
I'd like to start.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, I just have to say I'm beyond perplexed by your comments at this point. If we were to go back and review minutes, board meeting videos, et cetera, by no means is this a group going off on their own to decide we're going to run a facilities effort. So I'm a little bit confused, and if I need to come back to review that for all 5 of you, I'd be happy to do that. What's transpired since a year ago. So I'm a little taken aback.
Well, if we need to
honest.
clarify it, we can put it on the agenda for next
Okay.
month.
Is it possible a one-on-one meeting
That-
to help review the stages that got us here so that
Sure.
trustees
Yeah.
or feels comfortable?
I'm not going to deny that facilities are important and that we have facilities needs. And every item on our last facilities levy I supported. But, all the items at once were just not politically possible in this community.
And it's not even being considered.
Right.
Say, go to the meetings and be a part of them. I mean, that's why the committee's there, right?
Yeah,
Just to-
exactly. Maybe what I can do is I'll do a review of what's been in front of the board, just in writing, summarized to you all the way from the survey that was done with our community with over 1,000 respondents, what rose to the top, the 5 priority areas, the presentations that I've given, the emails that I've given to the board updates, et cetera. And then if you'd like to talk further at a board meeting, that's fantastic. But it's very clear to me that one of our priorities is developing and executing a facilities plan over the next 5 years.
Okay. Okay, well, that's fine, we'll take care of that. Anything else to add before we move on? Okay, next we have action items. The first one we have is the 2018-19 District Transportation Program, and we have James Taylor with us to present us. Good evening, James.
Good evening.
Hello.
And James spent a lot of time at the fair.
I
Had a
did.
booth there. And,
Nice.
Got a chance to have.
I saw Buster.
Did you see Buster?
Yes.
Yeah, the kids love it.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
like such
they
a
ate that.
great.
We had these two kids that would come back every 30 minutes to say hi to Buster. It was funny. So they really think he's alive. So I present this every year, and very little's changed from last year's presentation about the transportation program. On the new, I hope you all have this packet, correct?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Under the new, I did fail to put that we did have our state audit this past year as well. And I just wanted to real briefly, if I could take a minute,
Sure.
just a couple of the bullets, just to kind of bring out what that transportation team, there's 50 people that work with that transportation team, and they do an amazing job, and I just wanted to highlight some of their achievements. So the state auditor, the person that inspected our transportation program this year, said the following: school bus drivers exhibited excellent vehicle operation and student management skills. Drivers exhibited excellent rapport and management skills with the students. All 60-day and annual inspections were completed within the required time frame, reflecting a compliance rating of 100%. Buses were very clean and maintained. There's a whole lot, I'm not going to read them all. I rode 8 school bus routes, evaluated driver skills and bus stops, and assessed district routing configurations, resulting in a compliance rating of 99%. We did have one bus that was red flagged, taken out of service for an exhaust leak. So if you do read this and it says that one bus was red flagged for unsafe conditions, it was because of an exhaust leak, and we got that fixed right away. But overall, I just wanted to highlight that we did get inspected this year, and the transportation team did an amazing job, and I just wanted to let you know how they did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, under the new, I have the IPT bus safety rodeo that was held in Boise this year, and we had 2 contestants from our district that went to the state rodeo. We had Jenny Robinson and Norma Bartenhagen. Jenny placed 4th in the state, and they had a great time. They learned a lot, and I helped facilitate that rodeo, that safety rodeo, and the drivers, one of the drivers especially, came to me and said that it's one of the best training tools. The rodeos are one of the best training tools that transportation bus drivers can get. They learn so much, and they get a chance to go through the course and really show off their skills. And then we also had a person from Idaho placed 8th in the nationals. Wasn't from our district, but anyway. So that was another achievement that I wanted to bring out for Jenny. The Kelso Lake seasonal service, I just wanted to bring it to your attention just in case you ever hear about it and somebody asks you, why are you only doing seasonal service at Kelso? This past year, we did a risk assessment. I have 2 drivers that drive down Kelso Lake Road, and has anybody ever driven down Kelso Lake Road?
Yeah.
Yes, you have. So you know, in the summertime, it's not that bad, but in the wintertime, when you're going down, it really chokes down. You have a wall of stone here on your right and a 100-foot drop off into a lake. And it's really intimidating when you're going down in a big school bus and the roads are slick and you have logging trucks coming up, and it's just not good. And we looked at that and said, you know, we've been servicing that road, but I think we need to start looking at the risk involved with our students. And we said it wouldn't be that difficult because we were only servicing 4 students down there this past winter, to move the stop at the start of the really bad winter, once the road really gets gnarly, and have them just bring to the top of the hill, and we pick them up at Kelso Lake Road in Granite Loop. And the parents were fine with it. I didn't get any complaints. I just wanted you to know that that's what we're doing now as just a risk management piece.
Makes sense.
So, the transportation program, like I said, very little has changed from last year's program. No new turnarounds. They're all the same. The projected number of students is slightly down from last year. We had a lower count last year on average. When we do 3 state counts every year. The state tells us this week you're going to do a count, and then they take all of our counts and then they average it. The year prior, our average count was 1,071, and this year it was 936, I think. Somewhere around there, it was mid 1,000. So we were about 75 students on average during those counts, lower. But the mileage still stays the same, and there's nothing. I can't tell you why the ridership was low. They pick different weeks each year, and so sometimes you have a lot of sporting events. You know, a lot of things can affect ridership. No changes from last year. We had a couple changes last year, but this year all the routing information on our program stayed the same. We didn't change anything. The in lieu's, payment in lieu's, we're expecting, I believe it's 11. Correction, that's 9. The 3 new ones, a couple of them fell off. 3 new ones would be the top one, and then Krista Jones and Laura Gibbo. Those are new this year.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
all those south ones.
I said they're all in my zone.
Yeah. The hard to drive through zone. Safety busing, we assessed the safety busing in 2016, and we assess that every 3 years. So this will be an assessment year for us.
Yeah.
In the spring of 2019. So we'll reassess the safety busing, but the zone's still the same. And the daycare facilities, we took out Giggling Guests and added Little Fit Daycare and Susie's Daycare. So that's the program. Very little change from last year, as I said. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer anything.
Thank you. Questions? Go ahead.
Andrea's program, the 20th Century Learning, are you providing transportation for that, or is that going to affect your ridership?
It could affect our afternoon ridership, yes. But we're not providing transportation at that 6 o'clock business.
Any other questions?
No,
Thank you very much, James.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks, James.
It's a big program.
It is a big program.
It's huge.
Got a lot of great people working on it.
yeah.
I can come down and visit your facility.
Great.
I want to see
So
videos from
would
the
you like to
rodeo.
hear a motion?
Yes,
I have a lot of pictures. I don't have any videos.
I will entertain.
That's our
it.
idea.
In my mind, I was thinking
Yeah, so I will present a motion to approve the district transportation program for 2018-19.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the district transportation program for the coming year. Any further discussion at all? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to,
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Discussion? And I did ask, I have one question. I asked James if he could briefly just tell us what the transportation plan is for new buses in the future, since that's one of the items on the consent agenda.
Three new buses.
Yes.
3 now that we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 3 years ago, we briefed a 5-year plan. Myself and Lisa Halls and Sean Woodward worked on that 5-year plan, correction,
Yeah.
of buying 3 buses per year for 5 years. This is our 3rd year into that plan. I just met with Lisa Halls on last Friday, about where we need to look at now. If you look at our 12-year life cycle of our buses, we do have an aging fleet. And so that depreciation summary kind of shows a picture that we we need to continue to plan. So right now, our 5-year plan still is consistent with 3 buses per year. And we received a bid for 3 this year, and it was a really good bid offer. So
Great.
that's where we're at, is 3 buses per year right now.
Great, thank you. Any questions, Jerry? Yes,
Are we,
Lonnie?
at one point, it sticks in my mind that we partnered up with Moscow or something to, or, oh, that was to buy buses. Do we still do that to try to get it?
So what we did was we piggybacked.
Right, their bid. And
So Moscow would bid, and they would get their bid. We would look at their specs is what we wanted, and
Right.
we would piggyback that bid. We didn't do that this year.
Okay.
We went to bid, and we did our own spec.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I see that there'll be a balance, more than 100,000 left in that
In that
acquisition fund
account.
for,
Yes.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
So, question, will these new buses have seatbelts?
No, they won't. The first 2 rows will have seatbelts. It's the integrated child seats, but they will not have the 3-point seatbelts. We didn't put it in the spec. It's not
Changes,
something.
changes the item entirely.
It does. There's
It
a lot
does.
there's a lot to discuss about seatbelts on buses. It's being discussed nationally, and
We've discussed it.
Yeah, we did. we
Discussed
did.
it last year.
Yeah.
okay, thank you very
Well,
much.
thank you.
Any other discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that passes. Next, we have, under board policy, the second reading of policy and having to do with graduation requirements. Jeff?
Yes.
Good evening.
Thanks. I'm eager to entertain any questions that have come up since last time we talked. I'd like to inform you that I did manage to find a PE teacher. I'm super excited. His name's Scott Victorson, and he's taught for 12 years up at Northwest Academy. He runs a nonprofit in his summers, which is part of the reason he was willing to come over to the public school side to get his summers off, because he runs a nonprofit that takes cancer survivors on wilderness treks all over the nation. And he's just a super great guy, and he's also going to be working as an assessment coordinator for us too. So it's a huge weight off that we were able to secure a PE teacher this time, but
Yeah.
I would still like the policy change to go forward, just to prepare for the future in case something happens. So, any good questions came up since last time we talked?
Thank you. Any questions from the board? In that case, I'll entertain a motion to approve the revised graduation requirements.
So motion to approve the policy 2700 graduation requirements.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the 2700 graduation requirement as stated and revised. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Announcements. Do we have any announcements from the board? Yes.
I will say one brief announcement that I'm very honored to have you as chairman of our school board, and thank you very much, Carrie, for taking that duty on.
Thank you. It's a nice announcement.
It's a nice announcement.
Sean, any more like that?
Yeah, probably not quite as good, but Jeff is going to make an announcement on our behalf related to a press release that's going to come out on tomorrow regarding our new state accountability system. This is specific to LPO.
Yeah.
And I'll forward the press release because there could be more information regarding our district as a whole, but we thought a couple of items deserve some quick attention tonight at the board meeting. So, Jeff.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't remember, the last time the state rated schools was 6 years ago now, 2012, the famous 5-star rating system. That's the last time the state of Idaho has comprehensively rated schools. At that time, Lake Pondere High School was identified as a school in need of improvement. We've been working very hard since then. Our goal has always been that the next time the rating comes out, we would not be on that list. In the understanding of the new consolidated plan that went from the state up to the federal government, we understood that there would be categories of schools. So there will be alternative schools, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools. Each school will be rated within their own category. And only the bottom 5% of each of those categories would be identified as what they call CSI, Comprehensive School Improvement. And we know we're not in the bottom 5% of alternative schools. So we were fairly confident we would be off that list. We also heard that the number to hit in order to, in terms of graduation rate, was 67%. We worked very hard over the last 3 years, knowing that number was coming. We hit 50% 2 years ago, 57% the next year, and 68% last year. We were very proud of that. We were very excited. It's a great benefit to my staff, the hard work they've been doing for the last 5 years that we have achieved that number. Especially when you consider you're taking students, every one of whom by definition is behind when they walk in.
Yeah.
We're still getting 68% of them across the line in the state mandated 4 years. We recently learned on Monday that there is in fact another list, and this is called CSI grad rate, and there's only grad rate, and it's 67%. So I said, okay, great, we hit 68. But then we found out that they're taking the 3-year average. So
Oh, yeah.
we will be identified tomorrow when the list comes out on the CSI grad rate list. We'll be the only school in the district which is identified in any way in that regard. So we're disappointed by that, but I wanted to give you some, be forewarned, forearmed for the conversations that will come, that a couple things to keep in mind. I talked to Michelle Clement-Taylor, who's the director of alternative schools for the state. Her estimation, she was in the middle of calling dozens of schools and telling them they're on the list, so it was a brief conversation. There are maybe 2 alternative schools in the state who are not on that list. Again,
It's
you're
just the
taking
nature of
the
Yeah.
kids who are behind and getting them across in 4 years. It's tough to do. The second thing to think about is that 67 number is not that bad in other ways, because we're higher than some comprehensive high schools. We're higher last year than Bird Charter, for instance. So we had a higher graduation rate at alternative school than Bird Charter. So just to put that into context. And the last thing is that we're fairly confident. Michelle would not tell me definitively, but be looking, that there's in fact a 4th list, and that's high-performing schools in each category. And ironically, we have reason to believe that we are going to be on that list. So that's an overall rating. We're boosted by we are the second highest, last year we were the second highest graduation rate for any alternative school in the state. Only Bennett Mountain beat us. And also we have a great number of advanced opportunities that other alternative schools just simply don't have. We have 2 CTE programs, which are every other alternative school I talk to are jealous of those. We have those. We have more kids taking college classes than most alternative schools. So within our category, we're leaders in that way too. And our attendance rate is better than most alternative schools. So the whole package, we are ironically, is my best estimation, going to be on both the CSI grad list and we're hoping the high performing list. So be looking for that. We intend to come back to you this fall. We will come back to you fall. We just spent an entire year writing a 5-year vision for our school that we are very proud of, and we are already working on to become the premier alternative school or just school in the state. We're going forward. This is going to be disappointing to my staff when it comes out that we're not completely out of school improvement jail, but we're not on the CSI low performing list, which is what we were on before. That's a whole different list, and that's a comprehensive look saying these schools really need a lot of help. We have one very specific indicator in trouble, and really when you put it in context, it's something we're really quite proud of. So we would just hope that you can carry forth that message when the list comes out tomorrow. You know what time? 10 o'clock or something?
I think noon, yeah.
Noon,
Or so, yeah.
Yeah. So,
What's
yeah.
CSI?
Okay.
You said what CSI?
Comprehensive school improvement. There's going to be 4 lists. There's comprehensive school improvement grad rate, which is what we're going to be on, and along with every other alternative school in the state except one, and many comprehensive high schools also. CSI low performing, which will be the bottom 5% in each category. TSI, which will be targeted school improvement, which is for schools which have significant gaps in subgroups between subgroups in their standardized tests, and then there will be a high performing list. And so we're hoping to be on 2 out of 3.
Great.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, and thanks for clarifying that too.
Yeah, I just don't want you caught by surprise.
Yeah, I know, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Gary, yes.
I'd like to ask Superintendent Woodward to comment on this. You know, the board recently attended a training in Coeur d'Alene where a representative of the department gave us a presentation on these new school evaluation metrics. And she didn't talk about multiple lists or different categories of lists. You know, what I heard was that there are going to be 30 of the lowest performing schools in the state are going to be identified on one list, and that, you know, the 10% highest performing schools in the state were going to be identified on another list.
And then after that, and in September, they're going to release a new list with subcategories as well. So yeah, to go deeper, yeah.
Well, good, we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, they did mention the list that were coming out, but they didn't mention one for
They didn't
alternate
mention, I
high
didn't hear
school.
anything about subcategories.
Categories, yeah.
Bonnie?
I just want to say, I think it's amazing what you guys do and the improvement that you've made. That's huge. And, you know, lists are important, but you guys are,
Yeah, it's-
you guys
yeah.
are making huge improvements and going in the right direction, and you're saving a heck of a lot of kids' futures.
So the last thing we want to do is
Kudos.
make excuses. I mean, our goal has always been to measure up to any measuring stick that's laid in front of us. But in the end, when you take students who are coming to us with struggles and you hold us to the same yardstick as every other school, it seems a little bit daunting.
Yeah.
And I would also mention that is, the graduation rate is based on the 4-year cohort. I let in kids today who I know are going to count as dropouts for us, because it's going to take them 4 years and 1 semester to get through.
Yeah.
That kid is going to be graduate in our town, but it'll count against us. If you take all of our graduates who graduated in the last 3 years and compare it against them, we're actually about 70%.
Yeah.
Right.
On an average for the last 3 years. I mean, if you take the total actual, it's actually 7%, not the 54%.
I think you're doing a terrific job.
I do too.
You got my support.
It's all the staff. I just sit in my room and watch them.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank you very much. Anything else? Any other announcements? Shelley, do you have any announcements? No. We do have the ISBA conference coming up, as you got a message on November 14th to the 16th down in Boise, so I certainly encourage everybody to go, particularly the vice chair.
I'm going.
Our leaders. I'll try to go too, so I'd like to get everybody there.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.